Sandy says read. Welcome back to the channel. You guys, this evening we're going to do a quick review of the book of Slumber and Discord. This is by Nicole Zoltak, and it's the second book in the Once Upon a Darkened Night series. This is a twisted fairy tale series, and the tagline for this book is, "At only 16 years of age, she is a beautiful terror." This is a twist on the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale. And I think when I did my Imaginarium convention wrap-up, I mentioned that I had picked this book up at Nicole's table, and I had already read it by the time I was doing the wrap-up. So here's the review. We're doing the review of this one. Here, I've got my notes for you guys here. The specs on this one are the actual story of Slumber and Discord is 131 pages in the book. There's a short story at the end of the book as well that kind of gives an origin story for what's happening in this story. If that makes any sense at all, I don't know. Okay, this was published in 2017. Oh, let's see. Are those all the specs? Yes. Okay. This tale is told from the fairy's point of view. Her name is Maylin in this story. It's Maylin the Magnificent, but she doesn't like to be called Magnificent. She doesn't want that moniker. She just considers herself one of the fairies who's just trying to do the best she can, right? She doesn't consider herself good or bad. In fact, she's kind of concerned as to whether or not people will see her as the bad guy, because she has to put Rosamund, the princess, to sleep. She has to curse her to get her to go to sleep, because Rosamund is the bad guy. Rosamund is, like the tagline says, a beautiful terror. She has what's called a silver tongue. She can sing, and people must do her bidding. She was born with this ability to sing, and the magic in her voice, in her singing voice, will make people do whatever she is singing for them to do. And she's not using that power for good. Okay, she's not. And Maylin is just like, gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to help these people. And so she figures out that, on her 16th birthday, on Rosamund's 16th birthday, she gets her to, spin some stuff on the spinning wheel, and she pricks her finger and goes to sleep. As the fairy tale would have it go. But the twist is that Rosamund is bad. She's doing all of these things in a very self-centered way, and she's actually had people go after and kill others. She has been an instrument in killing others. I mean, she's bad. She's the evil one, okay? And Maylin is trying really hard to do what's right, what she thinks is right, what she hopes is right. Okay? Let's see. I wanted to, as we do in these reviews, I wanted to read a little snippet for you so you can get a feeling for the flavor of the story, a flavor of the writing. So page 38, I have marked for you guys. Let me go there. Okay, this is where the prince has come to revive the princess. We do have that scene, even though this is twisted and different. We've got the prince coming in. His name is Peter, and he does come in. He revives her. But not with a kiss. He revives her when he speaks to her, and he whispers something to her, and convinces her, hey, you need to wake up and be good for your people. You can do this. Come on back. And she does wake up, and the rest of the kingdom wakes up as well, and he wants to marry her. He's in love with her. And he is speaking to Maylin, whom he knows is a fairy, whom he knows placed the curse on the princess, and whom he has basically forgiven for that. He understood her reasons behind it. He understood that Maylin was working in the princess's best interest. He understood that she was working in the kingdom's best interest, and he's cool with that. So he's speaking here. Or Maylin is asking him, don't you think you should tell the princess the truth? His face clouds over with displeasure. Do you think I haven't noticed that you're hiding in the corner near the only shadows in the room? She does not know that you are the one to have put her under the sleeping curse. No one else here just does. You fear that if she learns the truth about your actions, you will not be allowed to return to the castle. Does he speak truly? I am not certain if the king and queen and the guards remember I am to blame. If they have truly forgotten, I would be most grateful. Perhaps their happiness at waking has clouded their memory. My chest is too tight for me to inhale and exhale with any measure of comfort. I merely think that if you wish to wed her, perhaps you might be truthful. Have no secrets, if you will. She has not told me of her ability. She has sung for me, and I have had no compulsion to do anything but merely listen. She is a siren no longer. My ancestors do not define who I am, just as her being a siren no longer defines who she is. Rosamund is a good and kind and everything a kingdom could wish for in their princess. One day she will make a wonderful queen, and you will rule at her side. If she will have me. Peter turns slightly. The moment his gaze falls on her, his expression alters slightly. He loves her. For some reason, this disquiets me. Okay, so we're already seeing in this scene where, you know, the prince has awakened her and everyone else is awake and everyone is becoming happy again, right? The kingdom is coming back awake, but there's already a tension, right? I mean, we're already seeing this other plot developing, and it does develop, and Nicole does a nice job of developing this sort of a platonic relationship between Maylin, the fairy who's just trying to keep everyone happy and safe, between Maylin and Peter, the prince, who marries Rosamund and has children with Rosamund and is constantly forgiving and helping Rosamund. But Rosamund has not really changed. And so this is the story of a bad, evil princess and a fairy who just tried so hard to help her. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to tell you how Rosamund ends, but it didn't. She did end kind of quickly. There was the end came quickly for Rosamund, and I was surprised by that. But she kind of deserved it. Throughout this story, we go back and forth in time. We see Maylin as a young fairy, you know, helping some folks in the forest. We see her background, and we kind of see how the fae in her life really rejected her, and how she's a fairy without a kingdom. Okay, she doesn't really belong in the Fae kingdom, and she doesn't belong in the human kingdom either. So when we get to the end of her story and her resolution happens, you're kind of like, oh, that's so nice. I mean, there is a happily ever after in this story, and it's kind of nice that a twisted fairy tale can have a happily ever after. Da! So there you go, of slumber and discord. So there's a lot of discord in here. But there is a happily ever after. It's just not quite the one that we have learned in the past. Ta-da! And the little short story at the end is, it's like an origin story. It gives the explanation of how Rosamund, the princess, is descended from those who were part siren. Like how that siren genealogy came to be. So it was very inventive, very imaginative, and creative. Nicole Zoltak can play with the twisted fairy tale for sure. I have always been just fully intrigued by that whole idea of changing up fairy tales and playing with that. When I was in college, I took a writing, composition, and grammar course, and that course had a textbook that came with it, and that textbook got updated like each year. Of course, that way you had to buy the new one, right? The textbook got updated each year, and the year prior to my year taking that course had a prompt in it or an essay in it about fairy tales. And I didn't realize that. So we were given the option to write something, whatever we wanted to write. And I wanted to write a mixed fairy tale. I wanted Snow White and Cinderella to be sisters. And I thought that was just so clever and creative, right? I thought that was so original. No, it was the prompt in that book the year before. And the professor was like, I recognize this from last year's book. Like, you recognize what? And so I did, look it up and figure out, oh my gosh, okay, so A, this is not original. B, it looks like I've plagiarized last year's prompts. Oh no, it was just weird. But the point is, I've always enjoyed the idea of taking a fairy tale and turning it on its head, or making Snow White and Cinderella be sisters. I've always enjoyed the idea of playing with the fairy tales and mixing them up. So I am very pleased. Nicole has like a whole series of these things, right? I mean, there were a bunch of them at her table. I picked this one because I'm kind of partial to Sleeping Beauty right now. Maybe it's because I'm not getting enough sleep. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Thumbs up because twisting fairy tales around is fun and great. Please subscribe to the channel and follow along. You got to click the bell notification icon, you guys, because seriously, that's the only way you're going to know when I'm doing the random stuff. Thanks for tuning in.